alluded to that there was a.
Coming to beg for more money or what?
I haven't started yet.
I know you haven't.
You're gonna get a grant like Hammond?
Well, we could have had a grant like Hammond if we had our act together. So we're working
Well,
on
we
getting our act together.
talked with Hansegard, it sounded like we couldn't get that one. I don't know. There was,
We didn't have everything, it had to be
we did,
shovel ready.
yeah, it had to be
Your plans
shovel
had to be
ready.
shovel
When
ready.
you said on 63,
Literally, we had to start like 2 weeks
it
later.
definitely helped to
Well, no, you have to start by October.
slow down as they're coming up to it and saying.
But there might be more out there.
If there's more out there,
Yeah, if they bring it up again,
It's kind of fun.
we will still be jumping on board.
Trailers like bounce into the
Fundraising,
light.
fundraising, fundraising.
I'm like, gee, where's the school? They're going 45 by the time they go
Wow,
back.
that's-
Yeah,
I would assume you would have. We have anything on there about the closed session on the library today or no? Just kidding, man.
Aren't you?
you would be invited if you are the chair of the library, so.
See you, Baldwin.
Bye.
Yes, let's do this. Call me to our pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Wait. Just hold on.
Oh, wait, before it, we gotta do it again.
No, that's fine.
Did you read all the books? First Saturday? And it's done.
Roll call.
Van Dam,
Yes.
Forbes, absent. Megadorf,
Here.
Chevrolet,
Here.
Wornland,
Here.
Jurgens,
Here.
Van Summer.
Present.
Timothy. 4, discuss possible action on the police department building renovation bids. Joel Dunning, Wold. Joel.
Or Page.
Well, it says Joel Dunning on here.
Yeah,
Joel.
coming.
Who put that on there? Because Paige is here.
Me.
Hi, Paige.
Hi.
It was
You
coming.
know, I'd rather see Paige than Joel. So,
Yes, you got me tonight.
because you're close.
And I think I sent a letter to you all, so you all should have received that letter. But we did open bids on July 10th, I believe it was now. And we identified the low bidder as Berghammer Builders. And that is if we looked at accepting base bid as well as alternates 1, 2, and 3. We would like to note that if you get selective about the alternates you choose, the low bidder does change, so we would have to reevaluate after that, but based on early discussions, that was the route that we were, that we discussed, so that's what we put in the recommendation letter to accept all. And it was a very competitive bid day. There was 13 total bidders, which was awesome to see. And the second low bid was within, I think, like 10,000 from the,
Really close.
yeah,
About 5,000.
yeah, it was pretty tight. So it was, I would say, a very successful bid day. Is there any questions that you have on anything?
I was happy with it.
Okay.
Yeah, what I was gonna say here. You obviously saw the bids. Do you guys, anybody want to take alternate 1, 2, or 3 out of it? This is with all 3 alternates.
Do we want to go over financing first?
Well,
Before we approve?
probably wouldn't be a bad idea to let Sean talk a little bit here. Paige, we'll let you sit down. and
Sure.
We'll make this decision here soon enough, but the almighty money man needs to speak.
Yeah, thanks, Lance. You guys have the presentation, otherwise we can get it up on the screen too.
Yeah.
So with the numbers that Paige just referred to, my coworker Peter right there and I have been working a lot with Mark, with Kim on getting everything on the existing debt as well as this new project updated. So the presentation just takes a quick step back. I'll go through this quickly, but I think as Kim and Mark and Peter and I discussed earlier, I think this paints a real good picture of where we're at right now, and then also hopefully answer some questions about what we've been doing over the last couple of years that's brought us to this point. So the first exhibit on page 2 is for the board's reference. This is on the left side of the page, all of the different issues that are outstanding right now. So these are the debt issues of the village. The majority of them are general obligation issues. So those are issues backed by the full faith and credit of the village. A couple of them, the largest one and another large one, are revenue debt. The biggest one is the sewer treatment plant that, with USDA, the $14.5 million that we did a couple years ago. And then at the bottom, on the left side of the page, is the proposed new issue, and we'll go more into that in a second. But the other nice thing about this handout that we worked on primarily with Kim is in the middle it says items purchased, really the projects that we're being focused on. And then on the right side, the middle to the right side of the page, when we originally did each of these notes, these are the categories of projects that they are funding, and in some cases that are repaying them. So as an example, if you look at the column police, and you look at there was some police cars in a short-term note from 2024. There was the acquisition of the building and a budget for remodeling that was done last year in 2024. That's that $3,495,000. And then at the bottom, the 720 is the portion of the new issue that we're talking about today that will provide funding to cover the remaining share of what Paige just had up on the screen. So just as a reminder to the board, some of those costs that she just referred to are being paid with the borrowing that we did last year. So we had some money. The difference today is adding what we need to finish the job in its totality. Okay. So we thought this was a good reference, a good starting point. The one other note I'll hit on here is that in 2023, the village borrowed $1,285,000. That was an interim debt issue, and that interim issue was purchased by Pillar Bank, and it was for 8th and Curtis, and a lot of those projects eventually were taken out later in the year with a loan, 2 loans with the state. Low interest, 20 years, safe drinking water and clean water. There's also a little bit for 9th and Locust, some in there for the South Tower rehab. And I think one of the questions the board had in the past was about the water meters. That note paid for phase 1 of the water meter, and that debt has now been extinguished. It's totally paid off. But phase 2 and 3 of the water meters are in the finance we're talking about today. And
Was
so,
that, did we ever get that clean water, wasn't there like a clean water thing with them, with HydroCore or those water meters that we were applying for, or did we ever get that loan?
We got the loans, they're here. In 2024, there was like almost $1 million, but they went to pay off this at the,
Right.
at the Pillar Bank.
So that was the interim finance that was paid off
right.
through the water, that clean water,
Clean water and safe drinking water.
safe
programs.
drinking programs.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Didn't go to meters, and that, the good thing
Well-
about this exercise was we figured that out. That's,
Right.
Okay, well, we should have got for the water towers or something, or just
You
use
did.
that, use that program.
You did use the program for the north
Okay,
water tower.
alright,
You did, yep. And that was in last year too. in
that's why we
2024.
hired you guys.
But the meters was the
Keep it
one
straight.
thing not in those programs, and I'm not sure, I'm not an expert on that, on those safe drinking and clean water in terms of the project eligibility, but I don't think meters are the type of projects they are usually targeting they're more targeting replacement of older infrastructure.
Right.
That's really where they're at. Okay. All right, so if we go to the next page, in the proposed new financing, now working with Kim, I think we've nailed all this down. Capital projects for this year, 9th, Oak and Maple. There's a portion of this that are streets, portion that's water, portion that's sewer. Those different funding sources, streets by the tax levy, water and sewer will be paid off. You have a note that is a little bit under 7% that was issued for police cars and I think one other type vehicle in there that you did with the credit union. Because we're doing this financing and lower interest rates are available, we're grouping that in to the refinancing as part of the overall. So that's included. And if you go to the next page, the police building, and this is really more focused on the garage, the parking, and then we've also added to the numbers that Paige talked about, a generator, which I think we've got a budget, 100,000 I think in there for that. So the 2 million is the numbers you just saw on the screen plus all other related costs, so the design, all those other costs that are a part of that project, and the $100,000 for the generator. So all told, about $2 million bucks. So that's in the financing. But we take off from that 2 million, 1.3 million, which when Kim did her research, that's money that we have in the bank. It's earned interest, quite a bit of interest, in fact, from last year's borrowing, the 2024 borrowing. So we take the 2 million, we subtract off $1.3 million from monies that we borrowed previously. That leaves 700 for the garages, the parking, and the generator. Sludge thickener, 400,000, and then again, the meters, not phase 1, that's already been paid for, but phase 2 and 3, 700,000. So that all together, if we go on to the next page, that all together is the proposed $4,185,000 note that would be paid back over the next 20 years. The schedule you see here is using interest rates at about 0.5% above the current market condition. The plan would be to put this out for bid the morning of August 13th, which I think is your next meeting, regularly scheduled meeting, and then we come and present that night what the results of the sale are. So that's when you'd have the final vote on it and accept the bid. And then again, in more detail, in those bullet points underneath there are the portions of that $4,185,000 that are being charged to the tax levy, water, sewer, and I guess tax levy and water and sewer all together. So what we'll have at the end of this is one combined issue, $4,185,000, and then Kim will have the total debt payments that the village will be responsible for. And she'll have a portion that the tax levy is responsible for, a portion the water utility is responsible for, and a portion that the sewer utility is responsible for. Okay. So just focusing then for a second on the tax levy, if we can go to the next slide. Oh, one more slide before the tax levy impact. One thing we talk about with you guys regularly is your borrowing capacity. So we're using GO debt, lowest interest type financing we can do. Your capacity to use this tool is limited by the state of Wisconsin to 5% of the equalized value of the whole village. So you're about 560 million, 28 million is your borrowing capacity. And then we will have about 14.6 million with this new issue outstanding at the end of this year, 2025. You're making payments to pay some of the debt down. But at the end of the year, you'll have about 13.5 million remaining in capacity. And I think as most of you on the board know, you historically have been extremely conservative using this, but you, like many communities, you've had to do some legacy projects. Police is a legacy project, EMS was a legacy project. And that's really what this geo borrowing capacity for, is to manage it, to be able to pay for those projects. Okay. Last thing I'll just tell you on the capacity, I think you folks will recall, the sewer plant is not charged against the geo. That's against sewer rates only. Okay. So that's why it doesn't count on this chart. Okay, so we go to the next slide. That's the one on the debt levy portion, or for your general debt budget and your general fund budget overall. In dark orange is the existing debt before this new issue that we're talking about today. So those are the payments that you have to levy for on your taxes. The lighter orange on top of the dark orange is the new $4,185,000 issue that we're talking about for the list of projects that we went over on the previous slide. And what we're projecting is right now, for this year, 2025, for every $1,000 in value on a property in the village, for your debt, it costs the taxpayer, this is using equalized value, $1.07. So $1.07 for every $1,000 value that my home would be worth. My home is worth $100,000, it's $107, okay? With this new debt, the light orange on top of the dark orange, if the value of the village stays exactly the same, so we're hoping this is somewhat conservative, the rate for debt will go from $1.07 to $1.31. And so that would be an increase. If I owned a $200,000 equalized value property, the increase would be from $1.07 to $1.31 is 24 cents per thousand values. 24 cents times 100,000 would be 24 bucks times $200,000 home. In the example I did, that'd be 48 bucks approximately that we're looking at. If the value of the village grows more rapidly, so the January 1, 25 value is bigger than what it was January 1, 24, there's potential to compress that a little bit and have that be a little lower. But as we talked about with the board before, again, with finishing up another legacy project and doing street projects this year to kind of keep up on your street assets, there's going to be an impact on the debt of adding that debt to the debts you've done over the last couple of years for acquiring the police building and the EMS. Okay. All right, one last slide is just on the timeline. I kind of alluded to this already. Tonight we wanted to go over this with you as you were tasked with approving the construction bids, and I think it was a good idea to go through these numbers before making a final decision on that. From here, over the next couple of weeks, we'll be working with the village to finish up all the compliance and disclosure documentation for the debt. We'll get it out. We'll solicit those competitive bids like you did on the project itself. And we'll come back on the 13th to present the results of the sale to the board. If everything goes fine, we approve the sale on that day. Early September, first week in September, the dollars are available to do two things. One is, I think Kim is reminding us, you guys have already paid some bills on the street projects, because you can just look around town and see that those are ongoing. But then you'll also have the money, as well as the $1.3 million you already have in the bank, to pay for the whole remodeling and get that done in the garages and so forth. And then we had, as we talked about, we had that small note that had almost 7% interest rates. We're hoping to bring that down to about 4.5% interest rates. We'll pay that note off the day after the village receives the money, and then that'll be gone at that point. So that's the timeline going forward. But before going back to the project itself, the bids itself, is there any questions that the board have that I can help you guys with? I think the only thing we'd be asking for tonight is if you guys are comfortable, as well as accepting the bids, just a motion for us to keep proceeding on the financing to bring those bids back to you on the 13th of August.
Is there any reason we need to look at next year's street projects in this? Because don't we have another?
We have an part 2, phase
2 of this project, basically.
For what was that, 1.5?
1.3 or something, 1.3, something,
Yeah.
a little bit less, but is that including the parking lot?
Yeah.
That was including the parking
Yeah.
lot,
Yep.
the dead end, or,
I'd like to throw in a little bit of that parking lot of the food pantry in there too, if they're doing concrete work across the bank parking lot. I'd like them to do some flat work in there too, which is gonna be probably not more than $25,000 worth, but
So is it a good time to do that now, or just wait till next year?
that's a Sean issue, Sean question there.
Yeah, you'll have to help me with some of the unknowns around this project, but if you were to tell me, I'll answer it this way, Matt, if you guys were to tell me, we know we need this money, we're already doing these projects, it is more efficient to include more projects in a single financing than to do 2 separate financings. Couple things to think about though is, one is how comfortable are you with the numbers? Do you guys feel like the estimates are gonna be pretty realistic for these projects? Or would you as a group prefer to kind of know what the exact numbers are before we move forward? 2, we could potentially add it in and do it on the same timeline, but if we needed more time to figure out exactly the project for next year and a little bit more on it, at some point, I'm sure there's gonna be some problems with the work you're doing right now that you don't have borrowed money for yet. And so at some point, there's a cash flow crunch. I don't know if you're there yet or not, but those are the kind of like other side issues. All things equal though, Matt, yeah, I mean, if we knew what we were doing, there's nothing wrong with borrowing extra, putting it in the bank, earn interest on it, and then when you have the money next year, then you're ready to go with it.
Because didn't we get really a rough idea
We have, yeah.
when we met in the committee?
Yeah, it might just need to be updated with, probably not much for pricing, but maybe just look at next year's pricing type thing, if that's gonna change much. But otherwise, yeah, we pretty much have it all.
What did that consist
Figure it
of?
That
What
was
streets again?
Went on Maple, so from Baldwin Stream on 9th up to 8th, so 1 block there, 1 block north up to Main Street on 8th Avenue. Skipping over Main Street, because that's new, doing 8th Avenue to the railroad tracks, pulling in the whole parking lot, redoing that, and then over by
Meadow.
Meadow Lane where, Clinton
Oh,
Road.
yeah, doing metal, that's.
fixing
right.
that disaster of a road.
That. Right
Yep.
up spring.
Yeah, and that part I know was 260,000 for that. It was kind of minimal overall compared to everything else, but I wanna say it was 1.5 or 6 million total. for
That's
all
what I
that.
was remember, because this one was roughly 2.1 or whatever, and this,
Yep.
yeah, next one was 1.5.
Yep.
I mean, something to talk about, we can talk about that next meeting, because obviously Eric will have to be involved with this, or, I mean, Harris, I should say. Mitch, help us start running some numbers for Sean. It's a good idea. I mean,
Yeah, what I would suggest.
paying on it a whole year prior, I guess, is not that bad if we have the cash flow.
So I think we have a little time. What happens is each time we do this, we have to get rated. So if we did this next year, would we have to get rated again?
Yes, yeah,
And
that's another
that costs
advantage, right?
$15,000 every
Yep.
time we get rated.
So what you're saying is not a bad idea to maybe think about looking
Doing
into
it
this?
now.
Okay.
I've only got that one bill from Albrightson so far, and we paid it, so, but we haven't started anything on the police department, so we could, that's where our flexibility is.
With the 1.3 million
Yeah,
that you got, yep,
so I feel like we
Is
have
that
some
the money
time.
from LG, IP or whatever?
yep.
Should put a lot more money in there, give it a good interest
Oh,
rate.
sure, if you called Mitch in the morning, you could get you
Yeah.
updated
Yep.
numbers, then you can.
Yep.
Was there any other, I know we haven't had a streets meeting yet, but is there anything on the plan that you, I don't know if Eric's been working on, like the street plan? Or is that that's our big project next year?
That's what we felt, I mean, we could pick 10 different projects to do, but
I
yeah,
understand.
that's the,
I know that's what we looked at as a committee,
yeah. to
as
just
the next phase.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
I just thought, if
And that's something that can't wait 2 or 3 years, it needs to happen sooner than.
Well, we'd like to get.
8th Avenue is horrible, that needs to get done.
Yeah.
7th probably even needs it, but we're not doing 7th.
The problem is we have the issue's gonna become, we have lead is where they wanna start removing, and we only have so much time to do that too, so we're gonna have to just basically keep up, try to keep
Tell
up.
the state I need some money then, and I'll remove all the lead tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I think we kind
50
of,
million, let's do this.
we kind of approved that phasing, right? This
Yeah,
year.
we approved that that's what we wanted to do for next year.
I understand, yeah.
Yep. I mean, it's not a bad idea.
Okay, the other, did the lease get finalized?
Okay, so the lease is not finalized. It is this close to being finalized. Paul did call me. You missed that conversation. So Paul called me. He went above the administrators to his boss, and he got a call within an hour. And he goes, that's my number one top priority is to look this over. So he's gonna do 2 leases, one on the police building and then one for the separate building, the cold storage.
In our garage.
Not pole shed.
And the other building?
Whatever, he's gonna do 2 different leases from the main building and then that cold storage building.
But there's another building there.
Well, I think that's gonna be part of that building is still gonna be part of the main building. So, that's where we're at, and he expects to give me a call this week saying it's done.
At what dollars?
Same price. We're getting now, 22,400 a month. So, and I know you were running numbers at like 18,000.
We were doing, yeah, I think that's right. We did, we have right now, we did it annualized instead of monthly. But we're applying to reduce how much you guys will have to levy for both acquiring the building and the remodeling, the whole, and the garages, everything. In our numbers, we're showing you guys applying $218,000 a year. Yeah.
He's a little lower because some of that rent is going towards electric bill and some other.
Well, he lowered it because we didn't have a lease and we we're gonna take over some of the buildings, why he lowered it.
Okay.
Because, they're not gonna pay full price right now if we take a third of the building. But he negotiated between now, we're remodeling the whole new building and adding more space for them. That he came out with the same number.
Yep.
With an inflation rate.
Yeah, we're not we're just saying 218.
Yep, no, that's perfectly fine, so. Is that accounted for in all this at all?
It is. I'm glad you guys brought that up. So if you go back, Mark, I don't know if you can go back to that debt impact slide, the dark orange, the light orange above, yeah, this one. So these numbers that you're looking at right here assume that when the 200, I'm just gonna say 218.
Just say your
Yeah,
number,
when
we're
the
not locked in yet.
When the 218 comes into the village, so Kim gets the payments on monthly, she sums it all together. What are you guys gonna do with that? You're gonna take that and use it to reduce how much you have to levy for debt. So as long as we're all consistent that that's how we're gonna use it, what you see on the screen is the correct model. So.
That was my gonna be my question, like, if we're getting 218, what are we doing? Are we just using it to pay off that whole loan, everything bundled together, or do we have to
So envision.
separate, how you have to separate water, sewer, all that stuff? I know there's no
Yeah.
state law on that, but what does Kim do on that, or what do you recommend?
You're reading, it's like you were in our discussion today, Lance, this is what we talked about.
And I wasn't in your discussion today.
She is, the idea that we formulated is, what we're gonna have going forward is, we're gonna have this debt service fund that'll be part of your budget. And the revenues of the fund will be things like your levy, money from the sewer utility, water utility to pay debt, tax increment districts, and the lease payment, 218,000. Those will be the sources of revenue. The expenses will be all the debt payments themselves. And then how do we bridge the two to get to a zero balance every year? That's how much you're gonna levy, is that difference. But in that source of revenue will be the lease payment, the 218,000. So she'll have that, and that's, when you guys get the budget, that'll be right in there. You'll see, yep, we got this revenue, and here's how we're gonna spend it.
Right.
Yep.
That brings it, go back, Mark, to this. Where is it here? Way off. Go back to this one more. 25, if you promissory note. Yeah.
Yep.
So the total principal and interest there is, roughly 403 for next year or whatever like that. Now, we would use that 218 for that payment. So we're trying to, if you do for budget reasons, we're looking at trying to figure out 150,000 kind of, is that what I'm getting at here, or am I looking at this wrong?
The only difference I'd have is, remember when we did the purchase last year and the initial budget for remodeling, we were applying the 218 to that too. So you could apply it to that issue or apply it to this issue, you end up in the same place.
Okay.
But that, you're thinking about it right.
Okay, all right. That's all I got for questions. Board have anything else? Thanks, Sean. I think.
Okay, so why don't we hold on the 13th then? And if you guys can get us additional numbers, we'll update this. And maybe on the 13th, we'll have more info to fine tune the numbers based on these additional projects. If you could break it out into what's street, what's water, and what's sewer, that'd be real helpful for us. Okay. Does that make sense to everybody? So we won't plan on the sale on the 13th, probably September, somewhere in that range.
Yeah, because we'll already have the monies. We have some monies available on LGIP.
Yeah, I'd rather not rush this after what I'm hearing tonight. This is a surprise. I didn't know you were planning.
I mean, it's, yeah, I mean,
We need to keep going on the streets.
yeah, we need to keep going on that, but that's fine. I mean, we'll have money to, you know, get everything rolling here. And we don't need to rush anything here.
No, gives us more time to be ready for the reading.
Yeah, that's fine.
And last thing
And the auditor is gonna be here in August, presenting the 2024 numbers, so I
Well,
think.
he's 2
want you
months ahead of
guys-
schedule after we nipped them, huh?
I wanted you guys to hear that before this happened anyway.
Yeah, and I think those numbers look pretty good.
We did okay in our audit?
I look good to me. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And last thing I'll say on the borrowing and continuing the street projects, where I think you guys want to land eventually is, let's say we do the borrowing this year for these projects and next year's projects. So there'd be no borrowing next year.
Yeah.
Then in '27, if you're going to do 2 years worth of projects, borrowing for 2 years. A lot of the communities that Peter and I work with, that's how we do it for all the same reasons we're talking about. The key though is you got to kind of get comfortable with borrowing for 2 years of projects, and you have to feel comfortable about the budgets for that. And so you're never going to be perfect, but you know you're always going to have projects that are ongoing, so you just kind of work with the numbers. But there's a lot of efficiencies to doing it every other year rather than every
Well,
year.
nobody told us about this $15,000 rating thing. This is the first I've ever heard of it in 10 years being on the village board.
Yeah, it's not.
So that's $150,000
It's
we
not
lost
right out
over
in front, I guess.
How do
We
they
haven't done
hide
it.
it? How do they hide it so we don't
So
realize?
it's kind of like when you go to settlement buying a house, you don't get all the proceeds because they took some out and it went here and took some out and went here. Well, we didn't get all the
Everybody's got their hand
proceeds
in the
because
cookie
some of
jar.
it went out to S&P.
And just so you know, getting a rating, you get lower rates, really already know that. And we look at things like that, we look at the all-in cost. So it's like a smaller issue, probably wouldn't make sense to get a rating just based on the rates, but the larger you get, the more economics there is.
Like some of the bank loans and stuff like Peter said,
Yeah.
you don't have ratings on those.
No.
It's the for $3 to $5 million issues, those are the ones that have the rating.
Perfect.
Okay?
Okay, thanks. All right, let's go back to 4 here. Do we have a motion to take the bid for Berghammer?
I'll make a motion to approve Burger Hammer Builders for the base bid, alternate 1, 2, and 3.
Second.
For $1.519026 million
0 cents.
and 0 cents. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any questions, comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thanks, Paige. Get rolling on her.
Awesome, I'll let them know. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Clarky.
Okay, 4, or 5, discuss possible action to authorize finance bond finance for PD building and 9th Street project. We are now gonna move that to September. We need a,
August meeting.
the August meeting?
Yeah, because well, unless we end up moving it out later, but what I see is happening on August is you guys making a motion to proceed with the financing of X amount, including next year's projects, and then potentially doing the sale in
September, we'll talk about maybe that additional, right?
No.
No.
August.
Have the numbers for next.
Oh, we're gonna have it for August.
Yeah, we should be able to.
If Graham, he's gonna put his stuff together in a couple weeks.
Are we gonna kill Kim doing this?
We'll get it to them.
No, I actually think Kim probably is in favor of doing it this way, right? If, yeah.
Well,
You just told me not to push you.
I was gonna say, a couple months would be nice instead of 1 month, but.
Hold on, let's just adjourn.
Yeah, about the only constraint I'd say, guys, is we definitely have to issue the debt before you approve your budget for '26. That is the constraint. So if you're gonna do your levy approval in.
Oh, we did it last year in December.
Oh, I remember.
Oh, there you
Don't
go.
worry about that, we got called by the county all the time because they wanted to send out tax bills in here, we haven't even figured out our budget yet.
Right.
one day before they're doing the
We had
mail.
this- Did we have to have a special meeting?
We did. yeah.
We did.
Okay, so,
But if we waited.
do you wanna do it?
If we waited 2 months, it gives Mark and I a chance to get going on the budget. That's like something we have to start working on now.
I think we could do it sometime in September.
Hopefully September.
I think so.
So call for the sale in September, sell in October,
Yeah.
close in late October, you got money for the rest of the project after spending out.
Well, maybe in September we make another quick meeting too, instead
Yeah,
of
we'll look
waiting all
at
the
this and get it better.
Special meeting,
We'll get her fine tuned.
We're not a big fan of it, but we got her done.
That's fine.
We're here right now on a special meeting,
there's a
so
lot happening in Baldwin, guys, I'm just like, wow.
this is it, we're gonna calm down here a little bit.
Oh,
Let's be street projects.
Ayers had most of those numbers for that street, because we were gonna do that.
Mitch
in
should have a
1
lot of
year.
those numbers.
We were gonna try and do everything this year, they said no.
Yeah.
He's got
Too
all the
much.
numbers, we just gotta get them refreshed maybe a little bit,
Yeah.
it'll be minimal
Right.
to do that.
Well, let's make a motion to authorize the finance bond financing, or the bond financing, and then we'll figure out, you guys can figure out if you can get it by August or September, what works out for you guys, does that work?
It's fine with us, yep.
Because then we can just, we can, yeah, it says,
Do we need a motion?
yeah, we
Nope.
need action to
No,
authorize.
I don't think
No,
you need a
because we're
motion.
No, 'cause
That was
it's
only if you were
final.
plowing ahead,
We don't have a lawyer here, or attorney.
We're not,
He's gonna
we're
come
not
back.
finalized.
Okay.
We could do it.
Yeah.
All right, no, we
Do
can-
it.
so
Basically,
we'll just
yeah.
make no action, we'll make no action on that. Okay,
I
then
second
what-
that.
you second the no action, or are you gonna second the adjournment of this meeting?
I totally will.
All right. You guys have anything else? Kevin, Graham? You guys, yeah, we'll just see how it goes. Maybe Mitch has got all these hardcore numbers and it's gonna go like this for you. I don't
Okay,
know.
I'm gonna throw one other wrench in this. Let's
No.
throw two more squad cars in on this loan.
What?
Do we have any other
Right.
funding sources for squad cars?
Holy.
We're gonna be talking about that. The Public Safety Personnel Committee is gonna be talking about that exact thing, so
Okay, because we have a couple of cars that need to get going.
we're looking at that right now, so.
Get going.
Yep.
Yes, maybe you need to fix them right.
Oh,
I'm just kidding, I'm just kidding.
I can fix them right, but it doesn't make sense to keep throwing
No,
money.
right,
at
just
it.
keep pouring money into a black hole,
It's
so.
it's not worth it. It's not worth paying me the thousands of dollars.
Right.
Tried to
Well,
collect
not
some
you.
hail damage on one, but it's already a salvage title, so we're.
It is. Wow.
All right, anything else? This meeting's adjourned.
Just like Tommy. He keeps some good stuff.
35 minutes, man.
Thanks for all your.
He sends it to me.
Grant.
Does this make sense? Should I do this? There's 4 grand, there's 7 grand, there's 3 grand.
That kind of stuff is really.
There's 2020.
The button's right on the back, you just push it in.
The start, stop?
Yep. And then close
Three
up
left
the,
for the PD?
close up the.